So typically I start out with like some kind of like corny joke or like a question or like statistics or something. But I'll be honest, this time we're going to save our questions for after our catch up because we have a special guest today with us. We have Kelley or HeroKerrey on Twitch. So HeroKerrey for people who are like, who am I going to hear in just a few minutes? This is a friend.
Twith herself.
Yeah, literally. So when you guys start hearing Kelley talk, you guys have an idea of who we're talking about, and you can go look her up on Twitch yourself. So Kelley, welcome. We're super excited to have you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. It just was like, it was such an easy pick of like a first like guest / like interviewer, you know, like me and Alex have both known you for like a little bit now, and so it's like and you talk about it, and again I say thank you for always like mentioning us and talking us up and everything. I was like, it's such like a perfect like first person, you know, and because we met through Twitch, met you through Twitch, so just like
Actually,
it all makes
I met
sense.
Kelley through Hover. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
What is Hover?
You don't know what Hover is, Lizzy?
No, what is Hover?
You know, it's not even worth talking about because it's not around anymore.
Rest in peace.
Okay, well, never mind then. Never mind. So we always start with like a little catch up. Like, what have you been doing? What have you been playing? Alex, you want to go first? Go ahead.
Sure.
What's been up, dude?
So I've been watching a lot of Severance, but we can't talk about that.
Yeah, I know I'm behind, and Kelley doesn't watch. We're gonna have to convert her though.
I'm over halfway through Avowed now. I've actually been playing quite a bit. Like I've been gaming quite a bit.
So you're really liking it.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's fun. It's not as good as like Skyrim or something like that, but as far as like a medium length action RPG, like the world's pretty fun to explore. You know, if you don't want like some big simulated sandbox and you just accept it for like what it is.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the graphics? Because so Bruce, our buddy Bruce has been playing, he loves it. Our friend Liv, who's typically just in chats, she was here with me this weekend, so I got to meet one of my Twitch buddies, which was really cool. She was here this weekend and she was like, I didn't like it. I have not liked it as much as like Bruce has been talking about it. She's like, I feel like it's really clunky. She's like, so overall, she's like, I don't think I'll play anymore.
I've seen she only play for like an hour.
Yeah. There's that.
I think the world is pretty varied and like it's pretty colorful.
Yeah. I still think I'm going to try it. I started downloading it the other day, but I didn't realize how big of a game it was. And I was like, oh, I'll just download it in the background. And I was like, just kidding. That's huge. It said it was going to take an hour. And we have pretty good internet. Normally, like games like are kind of like, and there was no way. I was like, I'll do it when I'm not at my computer waiting.
Yeah. And so that's been my like gaming. And then I've been playing a lot of board games, trying to get through my backlog.
I saw. What are we at now? How many? Do you know?
I think I've done 14 of the like 45.
That's
crazy. Like a third of the way there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And there's going to be a few that I don't think we're going to get to just because either they're like dumb party games and I'm just not going to pull them out when we have a group of people over that like want to play a board game.
Yeah.
Or they're to use the board gamer term, very heavy games, meaning like they have a lot of rules. So you kind of need to like have a special night dedicated to like, okay, we are going to sit down and play War of the Ring for the next 6 hours. And
I can't imagine.
You just have to like those are harder to coordinate than sort of medium to lightweight games. But last night we knocked 2 off the list.
I was going to say, I saw your story of you being like, Space Game 1, Space Game 2.
Space Game 1 was Planet Unknown. It was a lot of fun. Space Game 2 was Andromeda's Edge. And that, like, I'm still thinking about playing Andromeda's Edge. Like, it's really stuck in my brain. I want to play it again and again and again. I think it might make it into my, like, top 10 board games of all time. It was so good.
Wow.
But, yeah. So that's what I've been up to. What have you been up to, Lizzy?
I finally started God of War, which is really exciting because it's on my list of, like, games to kind of, like, knock out through the year. And then I'm still on the Marvel Rivals kick. I got to unhook this belt and like just like get myself off it because it is dictating my freaking life. But still reading. I've been really slow in this last book. It's been really bad. It's just because like there's been so much going on with like there's a big change in like work right now and stuff. So like it's just been really busy and it's about to get even busier. So I've just like been like slow rolling into this third and last book, and I'm like scared that I'm gonna fall off because I've done this once with a different series, and I read the first one, had a huge gap between the first one and the second one, and end up having like years later go back and like read the first one before I got to the second one. And I'm trying not to let that happen with this series because I'm like, I just sped through the first and second one. I really don't want to have to go do a recap, but there's just been so much going on that I was like, at the end of the day, I'm so pooped that I'm like, I just want to go play games and then go to sleep and just be done.
Like audiobook?
I think that's what I need to do because I spend a lot of time cleaning at work during my day. So I'm like, I could easily audio book it while I'm cleaning and get like an hour of the book done a day. So I might do that just to try to help like overlap some of my time.
Yeah.
How does that work though with the certain scenes? Do you know
I paused that and I'm like, I'll come back to this later because
you put in the AirPods.
Yeah, no, that's what I typically do anyways. Is I have AirPods in, but I feel so weird, like because for those of you who don't know, I'm a professional nanny, and so I work in somebody else's house and I clean, and so like normally when I'm cleaning, those kids are asleep, so it's like at least there's nobody around. But even so, I'm like I feel weird listening to this, and so previously what I've done audiobook is like I'll audiobook it and then I'll pick back up reading on it like later on, and that's what I'll do is I'll pause it and I'm like, that's a wrap for today. We're done. We're gonna go listen to some music or something.
I haven't even thought about that because I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks at the gym, but I don't really listen to books with a lot of spicy scenes in them.
Yeah.
So I don't that would even be uncomfortable. Like if I'm just like on the elliptical and then like
all of a sudden they're like, he caressed, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm good, thank you. Not at the gym. So yeah, working on God of War and trying to get back in my book. But you've brought up a good point. I might try to do the audiobook thing and to help me kind of get through it because there's other books I want to read too. So I don't want to lose my reading track right now because I've been enjoying it.
That's great.
Kelley, what you been up to?
Well, it's funny because you and I are on the same journey. I'm reading the same series of books, Fourth Wing. So I'm on the second book, but I feel like I'm on that slow burn right now. Like I really like sped read the first book. I was like addicted, and then I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the pacing of the book, but
it's very different.
Yeah, the first book's very love focused and building that relationship, and there's definitely more war building and lore building in this one. I'm just like I used to read every single night. Now it's like every couple nights I'm like, okay, let me just do a chapter. Then I would go to bed.
It was hard for me too. And I didn't want to say anything when you were starting the second one because I almost was like, the second one's a little bit slower. And I was like, I don't want to scare her because a lot of people scared me about the third one because they were like, everybody told me their opinion. And I think that's kind of also what got in my head. I was like, oh, what if I'm disappointed, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I'm not going to say anything. But the second one, it does like, I think that one has it takes a lot longer to get into it.
Yeah.
And even so, it's just not as good as the first one. I think there's just so much in that first one that it's like.
The first one.
yeah.
But yeah, I've been reading through that. I'm probably like 75% of the way done.
Oh, okay.
And then in terms of gaming, I've started a Let's Play channel, so it's kind of baby-like because
that's right. I've seen you post about this.
I love it, like because like I'm probably gonna introduce myself formally at some point, but I am a Twitch streamer, so I've learned that story-based games are kind of very difficult for me to stream because I'm just so chatty. So I started this journey to do a Let's Play channel. So it's offline recording, and I've been loving it. So I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake, a game that I've always wanted to play. I am so in love with it.
I love
the original, like
the remake, not the OG game.
Yeah, but have you ever played the OG? Or
No,
is this,
I
like,
haven't.
Completely new story. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know like who the characters are and stuff, but like it's kind of just like finally I'm getting around to this type thing. So been loving that, and I've been playing Outer Wilds as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
How do you find Outer Wilds?
Confusing. Really, like it's like I think you guys know Devin, right? Sons of Mothers.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, when I shared that I was gonna start that journey, he was like, "You're gonna think about this game like all the time," and he wasn't wrong. Like I'm literally like just out in my day, I'm just like, what is this secret? What is going on? So I just think about it. Yeah, because it's a puzzle. So I've been really enjoying it, but I'm feeling frustrated because I'm used to live commentary where people kind of help me.
Especially with like Baldur's Gate and I mean, you constantly have stuff going on where people are talking and
exactly. Oh, I meant more like in the chat sense where like people are telling me what to do.
That's true
so
too. Yeah,
I'm just kind of like trying to figure it out. So it's frustrating, but I'm enjoying it.
Oh, I'm excited. That's exciting. I've never played Outer Worlds, but I've seen things about it. It always looks interesting. So you being like, I really enjoyed it makes me go, okay, maybe I can tack on like.
It's a little scary, Lizzie, though. I'm not going to lie. Because I didn't know it was going to be scary, but
I'm such a baby. I can't do nothing.
You might feel that way.
I couldn't even play
sit next to somebody while you play.
It doesn't matter. I couldn't even play Little Nightmares. Like I literally was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. It gives me like a pit in my stomach, and it's it's no good. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you're here. Let's give Kelley the moment and the chance to kind of introduce yourself and tell us like a little blip about you and your Twitch channel.
Sure. So I am a Twitch streamer. I primarily stream Just Dance that actually exists online, surprisingly. I didn't start out that way. Like when I met you guys, I was a variety streamer and kind of played like some Pokemon, Phaz, Zelda at the time. And then I kind of found my roots in Just Dance because of the community. So like I have no dance experience whatsoever. I just kind of found my way through the people and wanted to join it because they're really, really nice, wonderful people. And I just kind of stuck with it because I was sent home from the pandemic for my job and kind of lost that motivation to exercise. So as I kind of saw like the number going up on the scale, it's kind of like, I got to figure something out. And Just Dance has just been like the most consistent way for me to maintain like my own like exercise regimen and just like feel like I can connect with people because there's a big but small community out there of people who like Just Dance. So
I was going to say, how did you end up kind of coming into the Just Dance? Like, was it just like you were like, oh, this looks like a good game and I'm interested in it? And like you said, in the exercise. And so you're just like, I'm going to try it and I'm going to stream it and see how it goes.
Yeah. So Little Siha is kind of like our queen, I would say. So I think it was like I was browsing through Twitch and I was like, who is this person? Like, because up until then, like, I just kind of assumed gaming was just like sitting at your desk and playing games and you just show your screen. So I was like really surprised at like the idea of somebody dancing in front of like an audience in like an actual wholesome way. And she was fundraising for charity too, because that was two things. I was like, whoa, there's charity streams on Twitch, because this was like when I was really new, because I'm unfortunately like a pandemic viewer. So the idea of streaming was quite new to me. So I was, it was more of just like, oh my God, you could dance and you could play this game. And also like, there's a woman on Twitch. Like there's a lot of things where I was like, holy cow, I want to be a part
crazy.
of this. Yeah.
Well, and you do a lot of cool stuff on your stream with like green screen and crowd interactions, picking the backgrounds for your Just Dance. Like I feel like you're not just like playing the game for people, like you really make an experience of like your community and your chat are like have an active role in the content that you're creating, which I think is really neat.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
How did
that.
you end up deciding that you wanted to do the whole like green screen thing? Like, because you get like, for those of you who don't know who are listening, and again, you guys don't know Kelley, you should go check her out. Like, she will wear like green skirts and green tops. So like as like viewers get to change these things, like you're changing her top or you're changing the skirt she's wearing or you're changing the background that she has. Like, how did you decide, like, did you see somebody else do it, or was this like an original thought that you were like, oh, I can make this work and it will be a lot of fun?
Yeah, so it was the latter, because when I made the decision that I wanted to stream it, I kind of had to go through the hurdle of like, how do I show myself dancing as somebody who's never done it? So there was a sense of fear going into it. And my first thought was like, okay, like what can I do that can maybe help the audience kind of take the attention away from me dancing?
That's really smart.
Yeah, so I implemented the idea of the green screen because I was like, well, I know how to code and it seems pretty easy. Honestly, it's just like a text file with names and it just pulls a name and just turns on the source in OBS. So it's pretty simple. But the idea was like up until then I had been like a very like variety focused interactive streamer, so I always had like channel points and like sound effects. So I wanted to stay on that theme with my existing audience, but also wanting to catering to newcomers. So my idea was like, let's wear green clothes, have them change what's on it, and then I can still focus on the dance, and that way like I can kind of get over the hurdle of like I'm dancing, but you're not like really watching me, like you know what I mean? So that was the original intent of the idea.
So how, for those, I guess more or less for those of you who don't watch, those who are just listening, how do they get to change it? Is it channel point based? It is.
Yeah, it's channel point based. Yeah.
And then is it just like if they went in there and they saw the channel points, is it like 300 for like red, or how do they get to physically change it? Is it all just like already previously plugged in, or can they pick different ways to change how it looks?
So like we have like lights that change the color of the room that you can pick the specific color, but in terms of like the actual pattern, they're all random. So it's just like the code is just randomly picking a pattern and it turns it on. Though I've had played with the idea in the future of like, can I color coordinate things? Because as I've gotten to do this longer, it's about like 2.5 years, I've started to feel more comfortable just like showing my body as is. So I've been wearing less green and just having it as accents. So I've thought about the idea of like color coordinating in the future, but I have to kind of work that out in my head.
I was gonna say, you kind of have to have a big brain. The whole idea of coding is so beyond me. So you saying like, I had to code some stuff, I'm like, that's something I didn't know. That's kind of crazy, but also like amazing, because anytime somebody's like, it's easy, you just do
it is easy.
And I'm like,
it's like one line though.
yeah. I know like a lot of people, I feel like there's so many people online who like post things that like all you have to do is like copy and paste and like you're good and you're done. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody do Just Dance with green screen. I don't know if there's
I think
other.
I'm the only person.
And it's great because again, like it gives you that moment of like, I'm in this niche of like just dancers, but I'm also like my own person and I'm separating myself. So like, I'm not just in with all the fish,
Yeah, that's a good point, because on that note, like when I was starting to do this, one of the things that I recognized was like, I don't have the dancing skill yet. So I wanted to fit in and I wanted to like, stand out with like the existing audience.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my way of being like, hey, I also play the game, but like, here's like my little yoink and twist.
I mean,
I knew I wasn't good at dancing at that time.
I mean, I feel like now you've come so far because, like you said, like you feel a bit more confident. So, like, I'm sure I couldn't do it. There's no way I would not get up there and go bust a move.
Never
Alex,
say never.
Would you go bust a move?
No.
Never say never. Okay, if I could do it, anyone could do it.
I have danced in my life, but I don't know if I would dance like on a Twitch stream. But also streaming just gave me a lot of anxiety. So
I never did Just Dance. We did a lot of DDR back in the day because my friend had like an Xbox, so you could get like the actual like mats for DDR basically. And those, I always thought that was a lot of fun. But as a kid, never did.
I played Just Dance at like parties.
I feel like we've talked about this, that you were like,
usually.
I've drunkenly did Just Dance.
Yeah. And I'm like a fan of like line dancing. It's a lot of fun, but that's like in a group setting and maybe in a similar vein to like the green screen. Like there's something about being part of a group that you don't feel like you're being like
as watched,
focused on,
We had to do line dancing in elementary school, or I think it was elementary school. Part of like gym, like part of our PE class was we got graded on. We had to learn like 3 line dances, and I will never forget it. And like they made us do it, and I hated it. Line dances, not for me.
Yeah, but you know what? I really enjoy watching Kelley's Just Dance streams, and I feel like Kelley, you've really become a part of that community. Like you've been featured on a lot of like videos from like even Ubisoft and Twitch about Just Dance, and you've been on panels, jet setting around the world, going to TwitchCon. Like I feel it's been really fun because I met you, I think, fairly early in your streaming career.
Yeah. Was it 2022 or 2020? It's probably 2022. because that's when hover was a thing.
Yeah, it was 2022. You were like streaming Skyrim. I think I have a founder's badge in your chat.
You do have a founder's badge in my channel.
So it's been really awesome, like, watching you get partner, watching like just all because I know as someone who has done the Twitch streaming for a year or two, like just the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know, like the coding and figuring out content and networking, and it's been really wonderful to watch. And I really, you're one of my internet friends that I've really appreciated. So
I tell Alex all the time, like he has introduced me to so many like great people, you being one of them, because like when I came into the Twitch space when I was streaming, like Alex was one of the first people that I met, and then like very quickly he was like, here's all of the people that I think are great, and Kelley being one of them. And I remember like I think I've stuck around ever since. So I want to kind of like back up just a little bit, and let's go back to like young Kelley, like, what do you think like were some really like formative games for you when you were a kid? Like, when did you like realize like, oh, I might be a gamer? Like, what did that early life look like for you?
Pretty early on.
Yeah.
Like 6 years old, my dad got me a PlayStation 1. And
really?
I played the crap out of Barbie Race and Ride and Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. I also got a Game Boy Color, so I played Pokemon nonstop. So pretty early on, I was like, oh, I'm a gamer. And I'm also an only child, so I was like, this is all mine.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is.
Yeah. So I was a Sony and a Game Boy girly, and then I didn't get like a GameCube and a Wii until I was like in my teens. So
I think me and Alex have kind of talked about this before. I think my first one was a Nintendo 64. First gaming system, Nintendo 64, always was a Nintendo girly.
Yeah, I've been a Nintendo guy since birth.
I feel so jealous though. I wish I was. I just had to share it with a neighbor.
You had to share it with your neighbor? Like, like friends coming over kind of thing?
Every time I wanted to play the Nintendo 64, I'd have to go to a friend's house. And then, like, obviously it's their house and they want to do what they want to do. So I just kind of had to, like, wait. So.
No, I had 3 siblings who were all like, you're too young. You can't play. Oh, no. But it's okay.
In their defense, when I was a toddler, did break my brother's Super Nintendo. So maybe there is a lower limit to having your sibling join in on gaming.
So then going through like, okay, I have all these games. I'm enjoying gaming. You're realizing that you grow up. And I know before Twitch Alex, didn't you, what was Twitch before Twitch? Because I know you were like,
Justin
I was
TV.
Yeah. Did you do the whole Justin TV as well, Kelley?
Oh, me? No,
no. Did you watch? Sorry. Or did you only start watching it when
only knew
Twitch
about Twitch during pandemic?
Okay. So is that, because I'm curious to see, like, how did you decide to get into the whole Twitch space? Was that just because of the pandemic, or what made you decide you're like, okay, I'm going to also do this?
Mm-hmm. So it was through a bet. I had a friend at work who, she did game, but, like, we didn't game together at that time. She, like, came to me and she was like, so I'm going to start streaming. And I'm like, what is this? So I learned it through her during peak pandemic, and then I would watch her streams, and I would be on her stream. We used to like play Ark. It's like a dinosaur game.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
And I was, as you guys know, but to those listening might not know, I'm very animated and I'm very I'm very comfortable with my feelings and stuff, so I would scream a lot at the dinosaurs, and the people listening in and watching her were like, who is this? Like, we want to see her point of view of like what's going on. So I made a bet with her saying I'll stream if she were to stream Phasmophobia with me, because at that time it was releasing and I was really curious to try it. So up until then, I was not really interested in being any sort of public figure. I didn't even like use social media. I was very against the idea of like sharing my, anything about me. But
wow,
the moment that I went live, I was like, wait, I'm starting to see and feel something here that just feels very natural and fun that I want to keep going with. So haven't stopped since.
I was going to say there was like an appeal there because I feel like it is. It's you. I mean, and we see it, Alex and I, and as people who are part of your community, you've really you've built something. You know, you have these people that like you've grown to know, that you got to meet, like Alex. And, like there's always like, and then there's always like the wave of like new people where it's like you get to almost like start all over again. It's like, oh hi, I'm Kelley. This is Just Dance, and like it's exciting because there's always something going on, and then you get like things like Twith. And
oh my God.
I would love, actually, really quick, before we move on to our topic, I would love for you to tell the Twith story real quick. Oh my
God, sure. So to those who are listening, if you've ever been on Twitch before, or if you go currently to Twitch and you type in like Twith with no C, all caps, it will give you a global emote of the word Twith. And it's a random moment that happened during a charity stream of mine where I just so happened to have the official Twitch account in my chat. And at the time I was doing for $5 for a charity, for the charity I was fundraising for, I'd write their name on my body. So they donated $50. So I was so like flustered and nervous that I was just like, okay, Twitch, like all over my body. And then I was like, I'll save the last one for my forehead. And this, if you've been in my channel for a while, this is actually something I've done before where I've miswrote my friend's name, Behotch, and I wrote Behoff without the C. So that had already happened in the past. So I just wrote Twitch without the C and wrote Twith. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did it again.
That's really cool to be a global emote, though.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I had no clues it was going to happen. It was just like a moment of silliness. And then I think part of being a creator is recognizing those moments where you know that it can turn into something that can gain traction. So I took that moment in that clip to like post it online. And then as that, was gaining traction, I was like, oh, this is really becoming something. So then I opened a user voice and asked people to vote in it. And then by the time TwitchCon happened, it became a global emote. So yeah.
I mean,
and I saw on your YouTube, like, because you posted a vlog from TwitchCon, you found out at TwitchCon that was a global emote. Like,
yeah, I had no clue.
What was going through your head, like, when you found out, like?
It was a lot of holy shits. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe we actually did this. Yeah.
I think we were, I want to say, because and Kelley knows this, I spend a lot of time in Discord with a bunch of like our friends. And I think we were all in there one night and I'm pretty sure somebody said like, oh, Twitch is like, their Twitter is Twith. And we're like, I didn't understand. I didn't understand what it was because I didn't see it happen. So like, I wasn't aware of what was going on. And I was like, what is this? And then you click on their page and it's like a picture of Kelley, like with Twith. And I was like, what is happening right now? Like as like a friend and like a just like somebody who like I knew you, I was like, holy shit, this is kind of crazy. So like all of us were excited for you. So I can only imagine that you were like, yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, I was just holy shit the whole time. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. It was like the process was like I did the event, I wrote it on my head, made a clip, put it on Twitter, and then Twitch social team all of a sudden was like, let's just meme this girl. So then they changed their profile picture that weekend to Twith. Then I started freaking out going, what the hell is happening? Why is this Twith? And then I actually got the like encouragement for the user voice after that whole weekend because they were like, if they could change their profile picture, maybe make what they just made a global emote. So I did it with like the support of primarily the Twitch Women's Guild because it was around that time there was like a guild hall and everyone was like, holy cow, Twith, let's try to make this thing happen. So I had a lot of support during that kind of pushed me to try to do that. So I have a lot of people to thank. So thanks.
Yeah. All right. Unless Alex, did you have something else you wanted to say? Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Just making sure. We're going to switch gears just for a moment. We're going to move over to our topic for the day. It's going to be pretty short. It's kind of like it's almost a question for all of us, honestly. I felt like with Just Dance and so much music and so much of this like very similar talk that we should talk about some of our favorite video game soundtracks because let's face it, there's a lot out there. Okay. and I'm willing to bet you guys both think that you know what mine is. I switched mine.
I have two franchises I could point at.
No. Okay. Go ahead, Alex. You go first.
Wow, I feel like a lot of pressure on me right now. I've never had so much shade thrown at me from thousands of miles away. But I think there's a game that I play a lot that every time I unmute it to actually listen to the music, I forget how many bops are in this game. But Pokemon Emerald, I think, has maybe my favorite soundtrack of all time. Something about the chiptune horns and pretty much every theme from that, I think, is just a banger.
I would have to go and listen to that one because as somebody who doesn't play a lot of Pokemon, it's not something I can ding in my mind. I was thinking for yours.
Heard a lot of them.
When I was thinking, I was like, oh, what do I think Alex's might be? I was like, I wonder because so many people love the Baldur's Gate soundtrack and how incredible it is, and I haven't heard a lot of it. I'm just going off of what people said, and I know that you've played, so I was like, I wonder if that might be in there. It just surprised me with the Pokemon.
I don't know. I think Baldur's Gate has got a lot of great songs, but I don't really care to play it for the music.
Yeah,
my brain is too focused on everything else, whereas I feel like there's just something so cozy about a lot of the Pokemon soundtracks, Hearth Home City from Gen 4 is such a vibe that I don't I feel like the music for Pokemon adds to the game in a way that maybe for Baldur's Gate there's just a lot more going on in other places,
Yeah. Kelley?
Well, apparently Alex and I have the same brain.
Shut up!
Because I wrote down Pokemon as mine. But hilariously, that was second. And my first one was actually Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, wow.
That's so funny. Yeah, because I just finished Baldur's Gate 3 for the first time a couple months ago. And I love the soundtrack. Contrary to what you just said, there were times in the game I would just sit in camp and just take it all in and sometimes cry.
Oh, wow.
Because it was so beautiful, and I just listen to Baldur's Gate music at work now because it's just so relaxing. So I've been really blown away by the soundtrack.
So when I was thinking of mine, I was like, I can't say Zelda because everybody, including Kelley, is gonna freaking roast me and laugh at me. So
I'm surprised it wasn't Horizon Zero Dawn.
The more as I think about it, I'm like, I can't think of a lot of the music in Horizon.
Is it Dragon Age?
No.
No.
That's my second guess.
I actually went again. That was something I was actually really disappointed with Dragon Age, was that there wasn't a ton of music. I never was stopped by the music, and I was like, I felt like they could have done better with it. No, I actually went with Stardew.
Ooh.
Because there are so many times where people will have it. I'll forget about it is the problem, and then people will have it as part of their starting screen on Twitch, and it will be background music, and I'm like, oh wait, I forgot how good this whole soundtrack is. And there's so many because it changes through the seasons. There's I think the spring is probably the most notorious soundtrack, but I'm I like the winter one. I like there's not many times where I was oh, I don't like this soundtrack. I would definitely put it in on the background while I'm doing something and be oh, I'll just sit here and listen to Stardew while I fuck around, kind of thing. Unless there's any other runner-ups. My runner-up would be Zelda Breath of the Wild. Sorry, it's just that good.
That's fair. I think my runner-up probably is I don't know if this counts, but I really like walking around the wasteland in Fallout with the radio playing and all the old 40s and 50s
hacking and smashing and crashing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Chopping that meat. By the way, that song is really messed up. I'm singing it, and my husband Josh is do you know what this song's about? And I'm like, no. He's like, you should look at the lyrics.
I love that you
cutting people up.
pulled those lyrics out of fucking thin air, said, here you go. That's incredible.
Because he's right that the soundtrack is actually really notable. I would just listen to what is it, Diamond City Radio, just on a loop.
Absolutely.
While playing the game.
Well, there's a Diamond City Radio Spotify playlist that I do listen to.
No, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know what I'm listening to this week, I guess.
All right, we do have some time for a few more questions, so we'll run through a few more. You kind of mentioned this a little bit, Kelley, so you'll kind of understand. But you said you made that whole separate YouTube channel to kind of start playing things without a bunch of voices, without chat, to kind of do it on your time. And I was gonna ask you, like, has streaming like changed the way you've enjoyed games in a sense?
Yes and no, because the majority of the games that I have streamed, they are built in a way where it's okay to talk while you're gaming.
Yeah, that is true.
I think when I started to try to branch out of that and try some story-based games, like I remember Alex was watching me try to play Elden Ring. Those were kind of the moments where I was like, man, I kind of wish I had this offline and could focus without... Like, I never really had a backseating problem until I understood that really only happens in, like, story-based games where people are like, oh, you missed this and stuff like that. So I kind of quickly realized early on that it's not really for me to try to do that on Twitch. And I also don't have the time because I stream short hours, you know, because I work full-time. So most people who are full-time, they can, like, play for 8 hours, and it makes sense for them. But for me, like, I tried to play Pokemon, and I committed to it, and I did finish it, but it took me half a year for me to play Pokemon Fire Red on stream because of the lack of time that I could dedicate to it. So it has changed in a way, and it made me appreciate. I did Baldur's Gate offline, and I did Mass Effect for my first time offline, and Fallout offline. So it made me appreciate that I made those choices to enjoy those first playthroughs, like, offline by myself.
Do you ever get, like, I used to get, like, really guilty playing games by myself when I was a streamer. Do you ever feel guilty? You're like, God, I should have played this online. Or have you been able to separate yourself a bit better than probably I was?
I think I feel like, no, it's my thing.
Yeah.
Like, you get so much of me online that, like, let me have a moment to be a gamer just like you.
Yeah.
Some people have expressed that they're like, I wish that you have shared it, which kind of, I think, sparked the Let's Play channel, because some people were like, I really want to watch you play this. And I'm like, okay, there are some games that I think I want to play by myself, and there are some games that I think I feel okay sharing with you.
Yeah, and that's like a happy medium where you don't have people talking in your ears, but they get to, like, participate in a sense without participating and being, you know, right there. And it's so much mind power to, like, play the game, pay attention to chat, read, respond, rinse and repeat, you know, kind of thing. Or at least, like,
Raids
you kind of
alerts and stuff like that.
It's a lot.
How do you divvy up, like, when you're, let's say, for your Let's Play channel, do you have an editor, or are you also editing all your content still? And, like, how do you divvy up your time between, like, this is my own personal time and this is the time I'll devote to all of my off-stream obligations for streaming, etc. Because as a, you know, someone who's done it full time, working as in a very similar field to you, and then trying to stream in the evenings and edit and all that stuff, it takes up a lot of time. So yeah, like, how do you manage that time for yourself?
Well, I hired an editor, so she has been editing my Twitch highlights for the past year. I think we're approaching year 2. So that was kind of like my first, like, big step into, like, trying to free up time for myself. So she does a lot of, like, heavier editing things, which are usually highlights of stream, because I wanted to start a project of, like, I don't really care if this takes off, but I want to be able to look at some videos and be like, what did I do in the month? So she does, like, a storyboard of, like, what we did, and she does a really good job with that. So because she does that, it allows me to get back time to myself for streams, but also part of the reason why I wanted to start a Let's Play channel is that it's really easy to edit. I literally just press, like, my stream deck button, which is recording, like, the gameplay, and then it has another, I have, like, Streamlabs and OBS, so I basically have everything separate, and then when I'm done with it, it's, like, I've done the research, and most people who do Let's Plays, they don't have anything fancy going on. They just play the game, so that was part of the reason why I wanted to do it, was because it was very easy for me to just play it, record it, edit down just, like, the beginning and the end, and then just throw it up, and it's been working for me. And then yeah, I really think just getting an editor freed up a lot of time, and I'm very grateful that my Twitch community has over time like supported me more as I've grown. So I have the income from stream to be able to pay like somebody to help me.
I know you're still doing Just Dance, but I feel like I've seen you also recently kind of branch out and kind of reach for things that you have said have made you a little bit more uncomfortable, like doing your piano streams, which let me say are some of my favorite streams ever. I love those streams. Like, not to take away from like Just Dance or anything, but I don't know. I think it's so cool because I think I also like appreciate people who can play a piano. I have a piano back here. Okay.
Oh, you do? Well,
listen, it's not for me. My husband was like, I'm going to learn how to play the piano. This man played for like 2 months. He hasn't touched it. So like people who like grew up learning how to play piano and like can play it like well, I am enamored by. So like every single time Kelley's like at the piano, I'm like, let me just sit and be in awe of the fact that like you can do this. And I just like being able to like chit chat with you. But like, are you feeling more comfortable with like branching a little bit out of like you've been doing like the cooking streams and piano? Is there anything else like you have your eye on that you're like, maybe I'll try this or a game or something like that? Or are you like, I'm good where I am, I'm not adding anything else?
I definitely feel like I'm more interested in throwing more production things, like you know, doing like hosting a show and stuff like that. Lately it has been like piano streams and also IRL, so I've been dabbling in IRL. I might actually do an IRL stream pretty soon, just because I'm just curious about technology. And I think streaming Just Dance has allowed me the grace to be able to pursue stuff like that, because the reality is that you're physically exerting your body. So it's kind of like a good excuse to be like, hey, like if you see me doing something else, it's because I got to take a break, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody was maining something like Fortnite, like, and they had to explain like why they're not streaming Fortnite, I think people would have a harder time really getting behind that. Whereas I need to actually physically take a break. So
yeah.
I feel very supported, and it just makes logically a lot of sense to be like, yeah, I'm going to do this today. And also the stuff that I choose to do seem to be like very mainstream, like cooking. Everyone cooks, you know, everyone chats if it's just chatting, and like piano is just music. So I think I've kind of figured out a formula that works for me like that. So I have a lot of ideas that I want to pursue. Yeah. I think IRL's like a big IRL trip is, I think, the next one I want to do.
Ooh. Where would you go if you could IRL stream anywhere in the world?
That's
Taiwan.
a good question.
Taiwan.
Really?
Taiwan, yeah.
She knew. She was like, no, I
Yeah.
got the answer for this.
Because I was in the works of planning to do it, but I think we have to push it a little bit because it's just like, you know, life and stuff like that. But I think my Taiwan trip is in the forefront of my brain in terms of like a big trip.
And speaking of like trips and stuff, and you've mentioned it a little bit, but how has it been going and like meeting people from stream? Like obviously you got to meet like Alex, you got to go to like TwitchCon. I'm sure you met like a bunch of people there, and it's like, was it great, or was it like the old saying of like, don't meet your heroes, they'll disappoint you?
Yeah.
Alex was disappointed.
Don't meet Alex.
He's 5 foot. He was really disappointing. He was boring as all hell.
No, I think everything has been a wonderful experience. Alex was my first stream friend that I've ever met, and it was a really good, like, you set the bar high.
Wow.
You really did. And I really feel like I'm very lucky in the sense of like Just Dance is a really small community. So we had the opportunity, I think we mentioned it before, to host some Just Dance panels at TwitchCon. So that kind of gave like a common place for people to meet, which were primarily our community members, but also like newcomers. So I never had a negative experience meeting people at TwitchCon. I think I just very lucky. I have a very good group of people that support me. And it just made me, I just couldn't stop crying, honestly. Every person I was like, oh my God, you're so-and-so. And I would just cry and give them a hug. So
it's probably really exciting to like, especially like so many people who are just chatters, and you see the name and you're like, oh, especially like if they don't have like Instagram or something, you're like, oh my God, like you are that person, and I get to like see you in person, which is probably is really probably a bit wild.
Yeah, it's really nice. It strengthens the bond too. It's crazy because they're like, well, we see you all the time, and I'm like, but you don't understand. I just see a text name every single time.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I was streaming, you see the text name, but if they're the same color, sometimes it's just like it's hard to
just gets to conglomerate.
Associate the person to the name unless you've, you know, met in person or spent any amount of time chatting one-on-one or anything like that. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
my problem was I used to always just be like, I know Alex is blue so often, and like this person is red, and then all of a sudden somebody else would talk in red, and I would like be talking to this person as if there was somebody else, and I'd be like, you are not who I thought you were. I am sorry. I was associating you with just a color, my man. My bad. Okay, last question, kind of just like a funny little silly one to wrap up. Okay, you're vegan, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Totally.
I wasn't sure if it was vegan, and then I was like, I don't think it's vegetarian. I think I've got this right. Okay, being vegan, have you ever been at like even a show or something? There been a moment where you're like, I would love to try that food. My first thought was like, 90s kids will get it. Like SpongeBob had the Krabby Patties. And I remember even as a kid being like, oh man, if I could have a Krabby Patty. Has there ever been a fake food where you're like, I wish I could get that?
A fake food or just like a food in general?
I guess either one.
Because like I was not always vegan. I only transitioned like in 2017, and like literally I think when I met Alex for the first time I was like, I'm eating this lobster roll. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because like to me it's like a very 80-20 rule. Like when I first went into veganism it was strict, but then I found that I was more susceptible to cheat on my diet and like have like an extreme reaction than to like, you know, be still on my diet. So I've kind of given myself the grace of like, if I'm in a place that has like a very like famous food, I'm going to eat it. Because the reality is that I'm good for the rest of the year or the next time that I see something I want to eat. It's mainly for health reasons. So I will eat something as long as it doesn't, you know, like I'm lactose intolerant. So like I'm not going to have dairy, for example.
I started looking them up because I was like, what other ones are there besides like the Krabby Patty that like people might be like, that one, but the ratatouille soup from Ratatouille, like, would you eat it? I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of vegetables.
Ratatouille I think is vegan.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
just vegetables.
I think I would try the Krabby Patty, but or like if I ever went to Disney, maybe I'd try butterbeer from Harry Potter.
Oh, I've had that.
Is it any good?
I don't think it's actually butter, but it's really good. Yeah.
Is it? It's more
I
of like
love it.
I thought
It's like butterscotch. It's just
yeah,
butterscotch.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, isn't it more of like a butterscotch? This is really funny because it says the chili from The Office that Kevin
spilled.
drops. Yeah,
I don't think I would eat that. No.
or
I don't
like
think I would eat like gimmicky food just because like I like more whole based foods.
The
Yeah.
last one that I thought that was funny on here, or the last two, I guess, is the everlasting gobstoppers from Willy Wonka,
From Willy Wonka.
or
I think I've tried that.
Scooby Stacks, which I guess technically are dog food.
That's
so
dog food.
I don't know if I'd want that one. But my first thought was like a Krabby Patty. I feel like all 90s kids grew up being like, what is the secret formula? What is in the Krabby Patty? I want the burger. But maybe that's just me. I feel like both of y'all are like, no.
I think it's just
Both-
you, Lizzie.
Okay.
It's just you.
There are people out there that agree with me, okay? I know it.
If you're listening to this right now and you also want to eat a Krabby Patty, let us know. Because let Lizzie know that she's not alone.
I'm not alone. Y'all are crazy. There's no way.
I
No
think they'd
way.
be really soggy.
You do know that there's a Krabby Patty at Wendy's, right?
Okay. But that just sounds
Oh.
gross, though. In real life, like
They made a whole SpongeBob promotion. I think like
I
last
do
month or
actually.
two.
Yes, I do remember that. But again, it's like it seems cool on paper, but then when someone tries to redo it, it's like, let's face it, it's never gonna be
So you
whatever
need
it was.
You need it from under the seat from
yeah,
when you bought it.
definitely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Authentic.
Authentic. Well, Kelley, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us and answering all of our goofy questions, and just being great. And please, if there's anything you want to promo, including just
Oh my
your
God.
channel, go.
Oh my God. What is March? Okay. March. St. Jude Play Live season's in May. That's probably the next biggest event. So I spend the entire month fundraising for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I am going to their summit in person. So I was invited as a creator. So I'll be spending a week at the hospital.
No
learning
way.
Yeah, I got invited last year and it was incredible. So I'll probably throw together a stream with all of my Just Dance teammates. So that's a big event coming up.
That's awesome.
But yeah, come by, support, and donate if you can, because it's one of my favorite times of the year. So
And where can people find you on the internet?
twitch.tv/HeroKerrey, but I am HeroKerrey everywhere because it is a username since I was a girl.
How
yes.
did you get HeroKerrey?
It's actually supposed to be HeroKelley.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. I know people get a little bit like weird about it, but it's like I kind of took it as like a positive thing where like people used to say like HeroKerrey like when I was a kid. Because I am half Asian, so it was a gamer tag that I resonated with and didn't really think of anything else, so it's just the one I've been going with ever since.
I do remember early on people would be like, Carrie. And I'm like,
you can call me Carrie.
Her name is Kelley though, isn't it? And like I remember there was a few times where I got to experience the moment, like people's mind were blown where they're like, wait, her name's not Carrie. I'm like, no, her name's Kelley.
I think Alex did that, actually.
I do remember. It actually might have been Alex that story is about.
Yeah.
It's the same where a lot of people still call me Hiplop. Before I knew Kelley quite well, her name in my chat was Carrie, so I was like, oh, Carrie. And then years after, like not years, but months after I knew her name was Kelley, it just took a minute to recalibrate my brain.
It's funny though. It's been a fun experience. I mean, like I genuinely don't mind if people call me Carrie, but it is funny to see people be like, "Wait, that's not your name." Like, no.
Oh, there was nothing better of being loading Lizzy and going into chat and being like, people would be like, "What up, loading?" And I was like,
"That's funny."
Like it didn't bother me, but yeah. Oh God. But there was just like a moment where I was like, "I'm Lizzy. You just call me Lizzy. Just Lizzy is great. Thanks."
Or Lousy.
Or lousy. Or there's been a lot of names. Lousy.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
All sorts.
Glizzy. Yeah. But again, thank you. We appreciate you for coming on and supporting the podcast. We love watching you. But yeah, seriously, guys, go check out Kelley. HeroKerrey. Okay. On Twitch. And then you're on Instagram. And you're the same thing. You said YouTube, all the things.
Everywhere but Twitter.
Yeah, same. We don't have a Twitter either. But thank you. And guys, this is I don't even know what episode this is. It's been a minute. We've been just going at a incredible rate. So thank you guys for listening. Per normal, we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys next time.